today I'm going to talk about this. So today I wanted to talk about this 40 volt 216mm miter saw. I've been using this for about the last 2 or 3 months and it's basically become my everyday saw now. Anytime I need to get some trim cut or do some nice straight clean cuts, definitely pull this out. If it's just 1 or 2 cuts, I still go back to the skill saw. But yeah, I am absolutely rating this saw. So I was going to go over 4 things I like, 4 things I don't like. So just starting off looking at the saw, one thing I do like about it is it's very light. You can quite easily pick it up with one hand. Only weighs about 16 kilo. Second feature that I like about this is that the rails come forward instead of going back, which means the saw is more compact. Especially when you're working in tight spaces, you can push this hard up against the wall and then do your cuts. If you're transporting it in the van, you can also roll it around like this, giving it a very small footprint. So this very small footprint is quite convenient where I have my drop saw stored underneath here, underneath the height of my bench through my van, so I can allow the full sheets to go through. Makes it all nice and convenient and nice and tidy in here. The third feature that I like is the variety of movement. So basically it goes from 60 on this way, so you can move this all the way to 60 that way, all the way to 60 this way, with positive indents at the most common known. I think is at 15, 22.5, 31.6, 45, 60, which is very common. The next real cool feature is a lot of drop saws. You're reaching around behind like this to move the saw left or right to do bevel cuts. On this one, this inner collar, you just spin that around and the saw drops over to 45. If you're wanting to go more than 45, there's just a little wee tag on the back and you can go over to 47. Not very often you have to do that. Pull it back to center and it goes back to 45. If you're wanting to go right, there's a wee tab just behind the dust extraction. Pull it out, it goes over to 45. The only thing I have noticed when I've been using it, you see the issue straight here. If you're wanting to do a 45 cut this way, you just have to take this back fence off, otherwise the battery won't clear it. The next feature that I like is just the depth of cut. So that means the depth it can cut from the back fence to where the blade is. On this you can cut 312mm from here to here, which means you can cut all your big beams, and also if you're doing a lot of small finishing ply, you can also do that as well. So number one dislike on this is probably the dust extraction. I've never really struck a drop saw or miter saw that has really good dust extraction. Hooked up to a vacuum, this is not too bad, as you've got the main port that goes through here. You've also got another one that goes up through behind the blade. The main issue I tend to find with the dust extraction is it's coming in this big chute at the bottom, then doing a 90° into a really small pipe, which then feed into another 90° angle and into the vacuum. This could be better. Anytime you're using a miter saw, I've always found you will have some dust. Yeah, I've just never found any brand that's got perfect dust extraction. Second feature would be this back fence. It's only about 70mm high. It would be nicer to have that a wee bit higher, but I can probably sort of see why they've done that on the next feature. So next dislike is probably the depth of cut. So that means when the blade's hard down, you've only really got 90, it's about 89mm. You actually can't quite get through a 90mm bit of timber. You sort of have to roll it at the end. This is only a 216mm saw, so probably not going to expect it to get through a 90mm bit of timber, but it would be nice. Which means you can't really cut like 2 lengths of 4x2 at the same time. You can cut like 90mm skirting in this bit here, as you haven't got the nut off the bolt down here. Probably my last dislike would be, so you've got this wee light here, so you turn it on here. So what this light does is creates a shadow line exactly where the blade's cutting. I find this really good to cut as opposed to the laser, but the feature that I don't like is it would be nice to basically every time you push the trigger, this light would just go on. As you sort of turn it on, go into a few cuts, come back, and it turned itself off. But then you have to physically push the button again to turn it back on. It'd be nice if when you just pull the trigger, it would just turn itself on and then stay on for an amount of time and then turn off. Yes, overall I find this saw really good to use. I do have a custom wee stand underneath it that hooks onto my pack out, and then also onto the Makita stand. If anyone's curious on what I've done there, post a comment below and I'll do a short video on that. So yeah, 216mm saw from Makita, 40 volt. You wouldn't even know it hasn't got a cord on it. It cuts like any corded saw would, with the convenience of the 40 volt. I'm running the 4 amp hour batteries on it, and sort of using it reasonable amount each day would easily last me probably 3-4 days. Obviously that's depending on what you're cutting and how much you're cutting, but yeah, good long runs like out of the batteries.